heavy hitters are back, man. Throw your H's up. I'm your boy Jay.
I'm your boy.
Oh yeah, you the almighty.
I'm your boy, Bobby Lashley.
Bobby who?
Today look, first of all, we back. We've been
sir.
going for almost 2 weeks.
Bro.
A little under 2
I
weeks.
thought it was a week.
A little under, yeah, like 8 days. A week, basically.
Yeah, I'm a little into
You know, so welcome us back with open arms. We not going nowhere, you know.
Yo, first of all, first things first. Y'all mans had an AEW, AEW weekend. He snapped.
All out.
You know,
Shout out to
didn't ask if we wanted to go.
but then he
I
went
brought
to
it up and
he went to a collision too, like on the day of Payback. I know
Bro,
the day
I went Collision.
a week before. Or
I
something
was
like
at
that.
Collision September 2nd and then All Out September 3rd.
Yeah, so
So,
he went
how was it, bro? Before we get started, how was it, bro?
I didn't think it was bad. I mean, I'll give AEW credit. I mean, compared to other All Outs, it wasn't exactly up there, but I'll give them credit for pulling together the matches they did literally a week after the biggest wrestling event in history, all in.
Mm-hmm.
So for throwing a lot of stuff together last minute, it was a good show in my opinion.
No CM Punk, I mean, you were probably disappointed.
I was blue about Punk not being there, but it is what it is in the world of wrestling.
And I'm glad you had fun, but now, we got business to handle. The heavy hitters are about business. So, Dan Bryan is in the last year of his
Well,
contract.
hold on, wait a minute.
What's up? Bryan Danielson.
We doing it. Vince McMahon versus Tony Khan.
Goddamn. All right. If I said that.
I mean, we could just do that as it is. Just go as it goes.
Whatever. So let's do Vince McMahon versus Tony Khan then.
So let me start this
It's
off
what you guys have all
because
for us.
my man's just made a mistake.
It's all good. It happens.
We doing
We gave you a
Vince
little.
McMahon versus Tony Khan.
We gave the fans a little spoiler of what's coming next.
Yeah. But they get that every week.
So he's doing a booking. Who is the better owner of their company? So this gonna be a video of opinions.
It's going to get very controversial.
It's gonna be debatable because this topic it's a lot of we got hardcore AEW Tony Khan fan. We have hardcore WWE.
I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore. Don't throw that on me. Don't throw that on me. Because I look at things Vince do and I want to slap him myself.
Well, major WWE fan and Vince McMahon fan. And
But
then you got
it.
me, who I'm gonna be analyzing.
I think I'm very
So, you're
subjective.
gonna try to be impartial?
I'm unbiased, so I'm going off of both sides. But yeah, so I don't know how we want to talk about. Let's talk about Vince first since he's been in this 30 plus years.
Started the business when the business was really just all territory.
Yeah, so before we choose who we feel is the better one, we're gonna run both. We're gonna talk about both people.
For sure.
So yeah, we're gonna start.
Let's give Vince his flowers though, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
because he's the greatest wrestling promoter that's ever lived. That's not even it's not even a debate. So
his
when
father handed him the keys, and
bro,
took off with it.
Now when Vince Senior was running stuff, we said this before. Everybody was eating. You had Jim Crockett, you had Vince Senior, you had all these people. What's up?
I feel like when it's on Do Not Disturb, it doesn't go through.
Nah, it don't. But it's still gonna show up. But it's cool.
So
we still recording.
You had the Mid-South Wrestling. You had all the territories. There wasn't one conglomerate. So Vince Senior was just letting everybody eat. Yeah, let's work together. Yeah, I got Bruno Sammartino. He could go wrestle 2-3 times a year and all this type of stuff. And everybody else had their own stuff. And when Vince Senior passed, Vince Jr. came in and said, "F all that. You getting wrestling from one promotion. All y'all out of here." And then there was just Vince Jr. And then he ran Ted Turner out. And Vince McMahon has been the greatest wrestler. He is the greatest wrestling promoter of all time. By far.
Oh, that's debatable.
Now, I want to say this. The one thing I respect about Vince is the fact that he created one of the greatest wrestling shows in the history of wrestling. That's WrestleMania. But the fact that he was able to consistently grow WrestleMania year after year after year, and never, when it didn't go down, it just continued to go up. And the fact that, as much as people say Vince don't care about the fans, he get the fans what we want, and he do. A lot of times he have. So that's what I say I respect about Vince.
I feel like WrestleMania 35 is the prime example of that. That was when Becky won, fans were going crazy for Becky. Seth won, people were going crazy for Seth, and Kofi won. Kofi Mania. So I think that was one of those prime examples of Vince giving the fans everything they wanted.
Yeah.
But Vince McMahon has been doing this for 40 plus years. All this type of stuff. I know you want something. Go ahead. Go say it. Say what you got to say about Vince.
Like usually, don't get me wrong. I commend him for, like you said, building WrestleMania and just the WWE as it is. I mean, compared to where it was back when Vince Sr. had it to now where Vince Jr. has put it, I'll give the man his props. And he has had moments where he listens to the fans, but then he also has those, I'm going with my idea, I don't care what anyone else says, I'm going to do what I want.
It's ego.
Yeah, you're right.
And
ego.
it gets to the point where it's like he'll push something that in his opinion, as he would say it, he thinks it's such good shit.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, it's just shit. Because it's just gotten to that point where there's some things where you're just looking and you're like, why the hell did he do this in the first place?
Absolutely.
And it just has me sitting there like, okay, you have these ideas that one, don't get over as much as you think they are. And
right.
Two, you're putting a superstar in a position that he didn't want to be in. Because you could have had a superstar flat out come out and be like, hey, well, here's my pitch, here's my idea.
Right.
And like I think it was Jericho was the one who said it best.
Mm-hmm.
It was Jericho or Cody. I forgot which one had made this point.
More
I think it was
Jericho.
I think it was Jericho.
Well, he on payroll, so it's more like Jericho.
He wrote like a whole thing, like a whole storyline, and he physically wrote it out, and he gave it to Vince,
Mm-hmm.
and he walked out. Like Vince is like, all right, cool, I'll look it over. He walks past the trash can near his office. It's in the trash can. The whole pitched idea, the whole paper idea, gone, and just wrote something. But I mean, here's the thing: there's certain things that I can admit he got right. Like he got Cena right, Orton, Edge, a lot of the legends and Hall of Famers we know today. But then there's some things where you just look and you're just like, okay,
absolutely.
Like what did you do
that for?
I think the thing with Vince knows he's the greatest wrestling promoter of all time. So it's like you can't tell me that I'm wrong when I've been successful for 40 years.
That's the thing. He looks at it as if, okay, I've been doing this for almost like 30, 40 years. I've gotten to this point. I've grown everything that I can. So in his head, he's thinking, all right, since I've been doing this for so long, it'll get over.
Absolutely.
But that's the thing, in his head, he thinks it's going to get over.
And you got yes men around you, so it's not like,
Because no one wants to say anything because of fear of getting future endeavored.
But I will say this.
Go ahead.
Last thing.
Go ahead.
The thing with Vince too, and this is the last thing we're gonna say on Vince. The thing with Vince, it's just all ego. Vince knows he's the greatest wrestling promoter of all time. So it's like you can't tell me that I'm wrong when I've been doing this for 40 years. And I'm more successful than my pops and anybody else who came before me.
Well, the big thing too is for the longest he remained untouched, no competition. He had the thing with WCW. It went and it went and gone.
Well, they almost ran him out of business too.
Nah, that's a great point. It was a long stint after WCW, which is him.
Because I mean, Impact was there, but it wasn't really.
No.
Yeah. And that's actually a great way to switch gears, because now we're gonna talk about Tony Khan now, a new wrestling promoter who's just coming up, making a name for himself around the world.
Off Pop's money.
And now Vince got...
Yeah, but Vince took it to another level.
Like you just talked about Vince not having come. Now he got somebody that's... I'm telling you, they making waves. We might say what we say about AEW, but they selling out shows.
Right.
They got major people over there with major talents.
Right. So
let's talk about him. I'm going to say what I like about Tony Khan. I like that he get people, he listen to everything. Like, he give people what they want, Like you said, Vince will throw your idea in the garbage. Tony Khan will at least take it under consideration. Let me look at this. This might be good. So I like that he give people what they want. And you know, it's all about the fans with him.
He gives the wrestlers a voice because at the end of the day, he grew up being a wrestling fan.
Yeah, that's what he is.
He's a wrestling fan, and that's like the one thing that I love is like, okay, like you know how to run your business, but at the same time you're a fan of the sport, so you kind of know this is what people want, this is what people don't want.
And see, most people, not most wrestling promoters are not fans of the sport either. Like Vince probably was.
They look at it more as a business thing.
Yeah,
Ted Turner.
Vince is like, he got it from his pops. Vince probably wasn't really a fan like that, but Tony grew up watching this, so that make it even better.
Like if I were to say anything, this goes back to the Vince thing.
What was Tony Khan watching though?
I mean,
He was watching Vince's company.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was watching wrestling.
No, he made a.
That was what was on.
No. He made a comment that he saw something else. I forgot what. I think it might have been NWA or something. It was something. I don't remember because I don't think it was flat out WWE because he mentioned it before one of the collisions. I think I forgot which one. Yeah, he mentioned it in the collision before All Out, the one I was at. But going back to the Vince thing real quick, it's like, yeah, I feel like Vince views it as a business standpoint, but like,
yeah.
I'd say before Stephanie stepped down and walked away, I think she more had the fan side of heart because she's because she said before, she's like, I was just like one of you. I remember sitting and watching WrestleMania 1 and seeing what my dad did and everything else. I think she looked more. I mean, she looked at it from a business, but also as a fan, because that's what she was watching her dad.
That's what people don't get about Stephanie either. Stephanie, she wrestled, so she loved his business, you know. So, you know, people her on screen character can kind of get you, but nah, she really is. You know, Stephanie, she loved the fans, man. Like, so yeah, I mean, what you think about Tony Khan though?
I'm gonna say this: Tony Khan has had
like just on a positive standpoint.
No, I will say this though: Tony Khan had a lot of. He's been in a position where nobody else has ever been in this position. He started a company with more assets, more. He had a TV deal off the rip.
Yeah.
You know,
faster than any.
Yeah, I highly doubt Vince McMahon or anybody else had these type of opportunities that Tony Khan has been given, and he's taking advantage of it. You know, as he should. He had the his pops.
I think the big thing that goes for him is since the fact that they have the Jaguars, they kind of, like you said, already have the TV deal in motion, have all these deals in place where it's like, it's not one of those like, okay, here is a guy who is an investor, has money, and has to do this, and this. He already has the assets there from like, okay, I run a football team, so here.
Shout out to Shahid. Well, Tony don't run the football team. That's Shahid's team. So
no, he has stake too.
He part on. He owns.
It's mostly Shahid's.
This is like a shared agreement.
Yeah. Quick, shout out to the Jags. Got a dub today against the Colts,
Trevor
31-21.
Trevor Lawrence coming.
And hopefully,
they're in the process again, a whole new stadium too. Yeah, they're working on it.
Hopefully the Jaguars
in Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's still in Jacksonville. They're just making a new one.
Hopefully the Jaguars win the championship so Vince can send them a title.
There's a thing about that, but I'll get into it off camera. But I agree with what you're saying. The motions are there that most people aren't fortunate who try to start a wrestling company. Yeah. They don't have that TV deal already. They don't have the assets to make it what they want to make it because they don't have stuff like that.
Like, let's just say, for instance, right, this podcast. We just wanted to start a podcast one day, right? But we have like a rich daddy. And, you know, he say, hey, Rich Pops, help me get a podcast. We get 1 million views. We get 1 million subs like that probably. Because we would have the promotion. We would have the nobody else. I don't know. Jeff Jarrett started TNA. Jeff Jarrett didn't Jeff Jarrett started TNA, right? Did he start TNA? Was that like
Jarrett. It was just
okay. So he started TNA. They didn't have nowhere near the resources to begin with to have a TV deal in place. I don't even know. They had the NWA title. They didn't even have their world title yet.
I think back then they started out on Spike too. I think that's where they landed.
Okay, but they didn't have. Tony Khan has a lot of. No, I'm not discrediting what he's done, but he came out the gate with certain things.
Different time periods.
Yeah.
Back in the day, this stuff wasn't even available for real.
No, bro.
So if Tony was a booker 25 years ago, maybe he wouldn't have had these opportunities. So it's we can't really blame that.
I think
No, we not. I'm just saying though. This is a blessing for him.
I think if they were back then, there'd be a lot of debate because then you'd have like WWE, it would be WWF at the time,
Right.
WCW and AEW.
Yeah.
And the thing is, where would AEW even be? Because the thing is, too, you got to realize that they debuted on TNT. WCW was on TNT.
Man.
So that would be a
One
completely different ballgame.
one wrestling show already failed on TNT. So
But they switched it over. See, Collision and Rampage are on TNT. They kept that there. But Dynamite's on TBS.
but that's still Turner though.
Yeah, it's still under Turner.
So Turner already had one failed wrestling show. One failed wrestling.
I don't know if the one Turner is related to the other. That I don't know. I don't know.
It's still the Turner. It's still the Turner channel though.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't know if it's the same Turner that was in charge of WCW.
Ted Turner.
So
I don't know if
nonetheless,
those families are related.
we
but-
gonna just basically decide who we feel is the better owner of that company.
I do want to say one
who's
thing.
doing a better job.
I want to give Tony Khan and AEW credit, not because I'm an avid fan of AEW. That has nothing to do with it. But compared to other wrestling promotions, in the 5 years it's been going, it's a fast start. It's a better start than most wrestling promotions get off the ground. I mean, look at how long it took for Impact to become relevant.
Yeah, that was like the early. I think. Well,
They started in 2002. I don't think they got relevant until like 06, 07.
I'm not because they were getting like a mid,
About 05.
something like that. I'm not exactly, but yeah, you kind of on the right track.
And that's saying that I feel bad for Impact is they had a good trend, kept going, and now it's in a demise stage. And that's the other thing. I feel like for Impact specifically, it's kind of hard for them because okay, competing against WWE is one thing, but then when you have AEW on top of that, it really makes it difficult.
I mean, they had already lost that. That WWE war was lost years ago though. So like that they've been DOA for like the past 10 years.
Well, that and it doesn't help that a lot of wrestlers are going like AEW,
Yeah, more money.
WWE, or New Japan. They're all going to different promotions. Impact doesn't have much of a homegrown roster.
Especially when Tony handed out money like it's candy. So I mean,
But like I said with AEW, to see where they started in 2019 and have made it to 2023 as it is, especially during the COVID era.
Yeah, that was a weird.
Yeah, that's respectable. They kept it going during that era. See, WWE was been established. People could have really tuned out of AEW, but they kept it going, and they made it kind of entertaining too. I remember when they had Sammy Guevara and them singing Chris Jericho's song.
That was pretty funny.
Like they was doing little stuff. So yeah, they and you was one of the main people saying they was gonna be out of business 2-3 years in. So they proved you wrong.
They proved me wrong.
So yeah. They still around, man. They going stronger.
I see them building in the near future, and I say the same for WWE. I mean, we're getting at a point where their Endeavor deal was kicking in soon with the full merger and everything. That's because I think they said that was kicking in at the end of the month, I think.
But
So, I mean, in the world of wrestling, it's curious to see where AEW goes. It's curious to
Yeah,
see.
we all want to see wrestling fans.
It's curious to see where WWE goes, especially with the Endeavor deal, which I'm not going to lie, I feel like it would be a good topic to talk about.
for sure. But I think we get a little off track.
Well, I'm just saying the growth. I hope for the growth of both.
No, for
That's what I'm
sure.
saying.
I really do wish both of them the best because even though WWE product sucks complete monkey balls, financially they're slaughtering right now. So AEW is doing.
Wasn't there something? Didn't they say their stock went down earlier this week or something?
Stock go up and down all the
No,
time.
like it went down. It went down dramatically.
I haven't seen. I'm just talking about like what I've seen. Like, their financially. From what I've been seeing over the time they've been doing this thing ever since Nick Khan got with WWE. I think AEW might have the wrong Khan, but that's not the point. The point is this:
Who the better owner?
who's the better owner, Vince or Tony Khan? I will say this though.
All right, here's the thing. It makes it difficult because it depends on what category you put it in.
Just
If
in
you
general.
put it in like the terms of like creative, I'd say Tony has it. If you're talking about the fact of longevity, I could say Vince has it. If you're talking about, if you're talking,
Alright, I got you.
if you're talking
All
about,
the shit.
Hey man, can you close that shade?
if you're talking
Appreciate
about
it.
financial success, you could say WWE. If you're talking like,
Well,
if you're talking about star power, it could go either way. It's the problem of what category you put it on.
I will say this though.
I'm gonna just be honest. I didn't really think this was fair because Tony Khan ain't really been able to book much. He been booking, but Vince got a long. You know, this stuff he did good and bad. So
For sure.
I'm going Vince is the better owner, obviously, because he's more established. But let's see, 10 years from now, where Tony Khan will be at. Then we come back around to this.
Bro.
Okay, but
now,
yeah.
I'm gonna just go off of, obviously, history tells itself. Vince McMahon is the greatest wrestling promoter that's ever lived. We can agree on that, right? No matter how we feel about him, Ted Turner, gone.
He definitely up there.
Who was running TNA? Was it Jeff Jarrett or Dixie Carter? Who was the owner of it?
Jeff Jarrett, then it went down to Dixie.
All right, so Jeff Jarrett, he had his little time where,
Dixie
but it was
Carter
never.
was horrible.
It was never. TNA was never like.
I don't
a
think
promotion
TNA ever had that fair shot. I think that's what it was.
Now,
They had their prime at the start, and then it just kind of went down.
Now, it's no debate right now. To me, Vince McMahon is the greatest wrestling promoter that's ever lived. He started this company with way less than Tony Khan, and made it into a worldwide phenomenon. When it was just territories, you had the down south wrestling, you had the up north wrestling. I don't know what those promotions were called back then, but
They had Ohio Valley Wrestling. It was kind of like their
no. That's their developmental. I'm talking about there were territories. There was the down south wrestling, Kentucky wrestling, whatever it was. I can't think.
I don't know.
That's before
I
our
think
time.
Ring of Honor might have been around by this point.
Nah, I'm talking
I'm
about.
talking about the early 2000s. No, they were around the early 2000s.
I'm talking about like the 60s and 70s.
Oh.
Though. I'm going like way back in the boat. So
You probably had all those small town kind of wrestling.
Yeah, it wasn't-
small town big
yeah.
balls and whatnot.
it was just so many wrestling promotions back then when Vince Senior was like, hey, you do your thing, you do your thing. And Vince Jr. said, Pops, I love you. I wish you well. When his pops passed away, he said, you know what? I'm buying all this. I want that. This is mine. You work for me now. And Vince McMahon was the only man who was a real wrestling promoter back then. Until, Ted Turner went in the wrestling business and we saw how that turned out. But
Would you say he was more successful of it because he kind of stayed to himself and said, all right, you work for me, you're out?
yeah, when you're the only wrestling promotion, you're the greatest. Now, and you've had the longevity, let's say, when did Vince start taking over? He took over in the 80s, 40, almost 50 years of being the premier wrestling company in the world. I mean, he's the greatest. So it's not even close for me. Vince McMahon, the greatest wrestling promoter that's ever lived.
I'm saying, and I know y'all are probably expecting me to say this as it is, I'm saying Tony Khan, and here's why. Because I don't want to base my decision off of longevity. I don't, because in my mind that's unfair. Because Vince he's been doing this since the 80s, so this is going on 40 years, 40 plus. But the thing is, with Tony Khan, he listens to the fans, he listens to his wrestlers, and he knows at the end of the day what they want to do and how they want to do it. And I think and I think because of that, he has a good thing going with the superstars. And the thing is, like I said, we're only in year number 5. They're still young. It still has a chance to grow because, like you said, this year we have Wrestle Dream coming October 1st and live in Seattle. And it's just one of those, like, they didn't have that a few years ago. They had 4 pay-per-views. They had Full Gear, Double or Nothing, All Out, and Revolution. That was it. But they're growing. They're growing more pay-per-views. They're growing partnerships. They're growing their roster. There's so much growth going on. Now, I would sit here and say, Vince, if that wasn't the case, if they weren't growing, if it was just kind of stagnant, if it was in one place. But the thing is, in 5 years, they've evolved so much from selling out 10,000 seats at the Sears Center for All In 2018. They've grown so much more than the packed crowd they had for the MGM when they first did Double or Nothing. Their crowd has grown their pool of talent has grown all since 2019.
I gotta disagree with you though, because not even, it's just not about longevity. Like I gotta be Vince came up with some of the great storylines though, like in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, but
Tony Khan to me hasn't really.
But that's
the
the other problem is because since Vince was already around and he's already done the storylines, if he tries to do something remotely close to it, someone will make the comment, "Oh, but he's just taking what Vince." That's the problem. Vince has already done all these things, so even if they came up with something remotely similar remotely different, they're gonna look at it and be like, "Oh,
it's stuff you can do that's different."
See, hold on. So before Vince was very successful in the '80s, in the '90s when Ted Turner came in and got into the wrestling business, he hired Eric Bischoff. Great wrestling one. What did Eric Bischoff do that damn near ran Vince out of business?
WCW.
I mean that. So what he did was he said, I'm gonna make the NWO. The NWO was something that was just slaughtering the like WWE couldn't even who they WWE champions like Shawn Michaels or something.
I just feel like Tony Khan haven't done nothing.
Yeah.
To me, to make me be like invested.
They need
like Vince invested
now
multiple times.
I'll say this though. Let's flip this, right? WWE just came off one of their greatest storylines of all time, which probably should be ending.
Yeah.
If let's say Tony Khan did that storyline in his company, WWE would be having a run for their money.
With the right, correct wrestlers, they could pull that off. Because if you remember, TNA tried to do the exact same thing,
and that's what they're trying to steer away from, because they don't want to do what Impact did, where they're copying ideas. Because you could sit here and say, oh, when Magnus was champ and he was facing Eric Young would be like the D. Bryan of WWE. Yeah. Magnus is like the Randy Orton. When AJ Styles won the belt and left out, that was like Cena in 2011.
TNA didn't know how to do it. They didn't do it right.
That's what I'm saying though.
You gotta do it right.
If AEW had a storyline that was just the NWO by itself,
like even like an evolution type storyline with full top, like they could steal any WWE thing and do it better with real story.
Or just a storyline. Not even just telling a storyline. If they came up with a storyline
similar
that was just so undeniable, like an NWO or a Bloodline storyline. It don't have to be the exact same thing, but if they had something like that was just so undeniable that had you need casual fans. AEW, the people who watch AEW for the most part are the people who watch AEW. WWE, there's people who casually watch WWE. There's people who are diehard fans of WWE. I don't know. AEW caters to their fans, which is cool, as they should. But you need something that's undeniable. Like my stepdad know about the Bloodline. He don't know nothing about wrestling.
We could sit here and agree to disagree.
Yeah, we ramble off on this one.
But like I said, my whole thing is Tony. He's working on it. He's getting there. Because you got to realize, him and his family, they've been in the business of professional football.
Right.
That's where their mindset has been focused. They know how to run a national football.
Maybe that's what Tony should do.
Now you got to shift it.
But hold on. But Tony, like I said, Tony Khan is an avid wrestling fan, so it's something he's got to work. He's not going to get it on the first turn. Like the glorious phrase, Rome was never built in a day. AEW is not going to become this blockbuster promotion in a year. Right. Not even in 5 years. It's going to take time. Like I said, Vince has been around the block for 40 plus years. When AEW gets to that 20 or 10, 15, 20 year threshold, I guarantee you the product will be better than what it is today, but it's a constant learning curve. And that's why, for me, Tony Khan's taking what he's learning and he's going in stride.
So I'll say this though. Ted Turner owned WCW, but he never booked it.
Tony Khan owns AEW and he's booking it.
That's what I'm saying. He shouldn't book. He should find somebody who's a great wrestling mind. Maybe hire Eric Bischoff. Find a great wrestling mind. He could hire Jim Cornette.
Well, no, do not start with him.
He could. No, I'm dead serious.
No, but he also has Jeff Jarrett helping behind the scenes. Another person who ran promotions like TNA Wrestling. But
that failed.
That ran Global Force.
But look,
he
don't
has
want to go too crazy on this.
Bro, how far is it?
29 minutes.
Yeah, it's too long.
So look, this is what we're gonna say on this one. We agree as Vince, he agrees as Tony Khan. We all got our opinions, but we'll come back to this topic of discussion another time. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Subscribe to the channel. We coming soon. 300 on the way.
Bro.
I'm your boy, Mauro.
Money making Jay.
everybody.
We out.